Welcome to episode 39 of the 24-Hour Hustle Show, and today we got special guests, life coach, speaker, best-selling author, Lytia Brock. Welcome to the 24-Hour Hustle Show. I'm your host, Anthony Freeze, and this is the show where we get the opportunity to sit down with amazing, accomplished guests and find out about their stories, their struggles, and all about their 24 hours. If this is the very first time you're finding out about us, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the bell to get these notifications every single Friday at 12 p.m. But today, we got special guest Lytia Brock in the building. I remember when we got a chance to sit down the first time, the conversation was amazing. Felt like we had talked plenty of time before, for sure. Felt like we known each other already. But I definitely admire all the work that you're doing. I've seen all the things that you're doing on social media with your life coaching, the book that you wrote, and all the things that you're doing. So I definitely am glad to have you on the show. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. And the feeling's mutual. You're making moves. You said show 39, so you're definitely making moves.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who don't know who you are yet, give us your name, your little bit of background, and all the things that you're doing, because you're doing a lot.
So, again, my name is Lytia Brock. I am a life coach, best-selling author of Making the Most of Life's Lemons, and that's a 40-day workbook to spark positive change. I'm a mom. I always say that because that's a job in itself.
Yeah.
To 5 amazing children, a hippie, which is just me seeking peace, and also a public speaker.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what inspires you to get into all these different things? Because entrepreneurship isn't cut out for everybody, but for some of us, that is what we are called to do. So what was it that inspired you to get into this line of work? Maybe it was something that inspired you when you were younger, or maybe some influences. Like, what made you get into entrepreneurship?
So I was always a kid that wanted to help people.
Mm-hmm.
If my mom packed a cookie in my lunch, I was going to share it,
mm-hmm.
or share a sandwich or something. So that's where my love for people started my nonprofit. And I always tell people that if you don't want to help people, maybe you shouldn't go into the nonprofit field, or even being an entrepreneur, because it deals with customer service.
Mm-hmm. So
I've always wanted to help people. And just from recognizing natural needs, that's what kind of sparked my love and interest in starting my own company.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. So, was it maybe even some things that you picked up from your mom or your parents, or like what did they do that sparked some interest in entrepreneurship?
So my grandmother was actually the one that took everybody under her wing and always cooked and always prayed and always checked on the sick.
Uh-huh.
And I told my dad not too long ago, I was like, thanks, Grandma, you passed it down to me. But yeah, I would definitely say my grandmother was the one that kind of sparked my interest in helping others and being a blessing.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of other things did you do besides giving away the extra food that you have and stuff
mm-hmm.
like that? What kind of things did you do early on that maybe said, maybe I could start doing this as a business?
Yeah, so my first company, I was 10 years old, and I told my parents, I said, you know what, I want to make some extra money. This allowance ain't cutting it. After I got back up on the floor,
uh-huh.
I decided to start.
After they gave me that beating, like, you don't talk to me like that, right?
I decided to start my first company, which was a dry cleaning company inside our home.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just basically wash and dry their work shirts and iron them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would hang them on their door with a little tag that said, "We creases your pieces." And I laugh about that to this day, because I'm like, when I was 10, I knew I wanted my own money.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea the long hours that it would take to be an entrepreneur,
uh-huh.
but I knew I liked being my own boss.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say 10 years old sparked my interest in working for myself.
Mm-hmm. And the reason why I ask, because there's always definitely something that happens when you're younger that maybe inspires or influences you to go that route. I know for me, one of the first things I did, I don't know why, but in elementary school, whenever I was done, one of the things I wanted to do was sell my elementary school books. I just put them on like a little bench table. People would walk by my house and like, hey, you want my books? Like, because I'm done. But it's just always interesting to find out how things inspire or influences people's mindset to go in the different directions that they go. And so I always like to ask that question. So whenever what was one of the first businesses, besides the cleaning thing, What were some of the other businesses that you kind of, ventured off into moving forward from that?
So my dad's a pastor. So I was around a lot of people again. So we did weddings, funerals, birthday parties, wherever there was a need for prayer. And my first company was an event planning company. And it just started off with me making gift baskets. And from the gift baskets, people were like, well, do you help with events? I'm like, sure. I had no idea.
Just threw that in the mix.
Just threw it right in there. Registered my business with the state, did all the paperwork that people don't tell you about.
Right.
And started an event planning firm that has been thankfully successful to this day.
And you still do that?
I still do that. Yeah.
That's awesome, for sure. So what were some of maybe the initial struggles that you seen or faced in the beginning, and starting any of the businesses that you started? What were some of the initial challenges that you faced in the beginning, and how would you say maybe you overcome those?
I would definitely, again, say the paperwork.
Yeah, that's the
paperwork.
Yeah, that's the hardest for most people, because
Yes.
most of us just want to be on the creative side, but we don't understand, like, there's actually paperwork and things behind the scenes.
Things that actually you have to do for that LLC or for that nonprofit. So that was one of my biggest things. And one of the things I really wish I would have known about early on was, the research that goes into it. What type of business do you want? Who do you want the business to benefit? Things like that. And then what type of nonprofit? How are you going to raise funds? What are you going to call it? All of those things, go into the mix of being successful, whether you have a business or whether you have a nonprofit. So definitely that was like one of the biggest things. But once I started researching and handling the paperwork first, everything else was smooth sailing.
So where would you say is like a good place that helped you the most, or maybe learn to kind of take care of the paperwork, maybe get organized or get your LLC? Was there any like specific places that you felt more comfortable with that you felt helped you along in the process a lot better?
I would definitely say build the relationships. One of the great relationships, and it's a shout out to my friend Stephanie at the First National Bank. I was able to build a relationship with my banker, build a relationship with other small business owners and other small businesses. Robert Morris University has a great program also. If you're just starting up, they walk you through the entire process. And then research. Google is free.
Yeah.
We as Americans have our phone in our hand 24/7. Use your phone. Use your resources that you have. Google, research. Typing in the type of business that you want, seeing if it's already there, it's a great thing too. People don't tell you that. If you're starting a company that somebody else already has, is there a need for this type of company in your area? Is there a need for this type of nonprofit? So I would definitely say build great connections and do your research.
Absolutely. And you do a lot. I mean, your schedule is definitely packed. I mean, you're always doing stuff when you're on the run, whether you're speaking or you're doing an event and things like that. How would you say you're maximizing on your 24 hours throughout the day? Because we all got the same 24 hours throughout the day to be able to get stuff done.
Yes.
The reason why I called it the 24-hour hustle show is because no matter what, you got time in the day to do something.
You have to.
You even if it's just an hour or two, you got something to be able to utilize your time wisely. So how is someone like you, with all the things that you're doing, being and a mom, you know what I mean? How are you maximizing on your 24 hours? How are you getting yourself organized and keeping yourself accountable and doing all these different things?
I definitely have a schedule because, as you said, 24 hours in a day, that's a lot of time to do what you need to do. And I hear so many people as a life coach say, there's not enough hours in a day. There are,
right,
if you manage them well. So I did a time checkup in March, I want to say, of this year. And it was a time challenge where I asked everybody on my social media sites, all of my clients, to take a notebook and write down for 1 week how you're spending your time. That was each day journaling from start to finish of your day, how you were spending your time. Because after you finish that up, you would see where you're wasting time. And after I did it myself, I was like, yeah, I can cut out some of these shows that I'm binge watching.
Right.
I can cut out some of this, frivolous talking and craziness, and just really structure my time around writing. I have a time to set aside to work on the next few books. I have time to set aside to meditate, the kids' time. So everything runs on a schedule. I know they're kind of annoyed, my babies are, but everybody's phone is actually synced as well. Team iPhone. But everybody's on a schedule. So that helps me out throughout my day. So I know that at this time I'm doing this time I'm doing that, and I'm not wasting time.
Right. And I know for me, and I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, I feel like we both definitely do a lot. And even for me, I still feel like I can still do more. Like I always feel like I can do more and be more effective with my time. I mean, I'm doing the show, I'm putting stuff up on YouTube on a weekly basis, newsletter, putting stuff on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, every single day too. And also IGTV just came out. I don't know if you know about that. I'm putting stuff out on there now. So it's like there's always something that you could be doing to be effective with promoting yourself, whether it's a personal brand or your business. And there's definitely time throughout the day. And also on top of that, I work during the day. So
I'm gonna say that real 9 to 5.
Yeah, so exactly. So working 9 to 5 and doing all this on the side, it's almost to the point where people only think I do this. But, it's only because I've been effective with my time. I make sure as soon as I'm out of work, I already got my game plan down. I know what needs to be done. One of the things that I use a lot is, because I'm on Android, so I use my Google Drive a lot. I use my calendar a lot. I make sure I got my tasks down for the day. What do I need to get done? Do I got to edit this episode? Do I got to get in contact with this person, that meeting? So those type of things and tools and resources keeps me accountable, and I'm pretty sure you use similar things as well. So there's definitely time in the day to be able to pursue the goals and the dreams that you want to pursue.
And one last thing, my grandma always says the 7 P's, and it used to get on my nerves when we were growing up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I think I know what this is, but go ahead.
Yep, but the 7 P's, prior proper planning prevents painfully poor performance.
Yeah.
And she would say that all the time, but now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, I got it. And then one of my close friends always says, a man without a plan plans to fail. And I'm like, that's so true. You have to plan. If you're going to be that entrepreneur, if you're going to be successful at anything, if you're going to be successful with your day, you have to plan. Like you said, you have your Google Drive, you have your calendar. You have people that are already lined up to be on your show. So I know that you have to know what time they're coming in, what pieces need to be in place. So you have to plan.
Absolutely. And that's the way you can be the most effective anyway. I mean, using a calendar, maybe you want to write things down. Maybe you need to send a reminder email to yourself. Whatever you got to do.
Post-its.
Exactly. Post-its, like whatever you got to do to make sure you keep yourself on track for different things that are happening to keep yourself productive. So that's definitely good. So one of the things I do want to talk about is your book, because I know one of the things that I want to do is write a book too.
Yes.
So I want to be able to pick your brain on that process of you writing your own, and just how that went for you. So number one, what inspired you to start the book, and what were some of the results you were looking to get out of it, and what was the process like for you from beginning to end?
Okay, so the start of the book, it originally was going to be a single mom tell-all.
Okay.
That was the first concept of the book. I started writing it, and then it wasn't coming together, so I put it away for a while. And my dad was like, you're supposed to write the book. 3 years later, I actually sat down and just began writing in a notebook. And I tell people all the time, the first step in writing your book is to write your book. I've done a manuscript workshop where I do give the tips and the tools of how to start from start to finish. And I just started writing in a notebook, brainstorming ideas, and I wanted it to be a chapter book because everybody's doing chapter books, and it was not coming together like a chapter book. So I said, okay, let me try to take a breath, leave it alone again. I came back to it, and I just started writing on each topic that I dealt with in my personal life. And that's where the title came from, Making the Most of Life's Lemons. So everybody says, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Lemons don't have to be a sour experience. When paired with a great plan, when paired with prayer, meditation, or a new outlook, you can definitely make these sour experiences something great. So each experience in the book are things that people can relate to. Love, sex, money, relationships, friendship, self-inventory, whatever you can go through in life, that's what the book's about. So I started the process, writing the book in the notebook, piecing it together, adding realistic questions and realistic goals. And then I said, wait a minute, this is a workbook. After that, had it edited by one of my amazing friends, Alana Carter. She has a great company that will actually edit your manuscript for you. And I worked with her.
What's the name of this company?
It's called the Renaissance Writing Company. And Alana Carter, she's on Facebook.
All right, cool. So I needed that resource real quick. Yeah, put that out there.
So I'll give you all those names. And she's a great person that was able to walk me through it, tell me what needed, to be done. And she went to school for it as well. She went to school for writing, so she was able to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. The editing process. From the editing process, I picked my publisher at the time, and I went with my publisher that I have now. and just gave them the book, gave them the idea for the cover, sent it off, got it back, went through the final edits, and published the book. And within, I would say, maybe a month or so, God blessed, made it to the bestsellers list. It's now available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and Walmart. So
that is awesome.
It's like it's moving. It's available anywhere books are sold.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised, like, where's my coins?
Yeah.
Like, my book's everywhere, but I'm thankful for that. But it definitely can be a long or short process depending on what you want to put out. Through our company, Boss Lady, I have a company with my business partner, Ashley Taylor, the Boss Lady firm. We actually help people publish books as well. So I was just saying before we started that we actually did 3 books this year, but more for 2019. So if you want to help with that process.
Well, that's what's up. All right. I will definitely keep you posted on that for sure. Yeah. So from a marketing standpoint, I know one of the things I utilize a lot is social media, obviously.
Yes.
But for some things that aren't so obvious, what are maybe some things that you use that you feel like helped your book get to the bestsellers list?
So I'm still the old-fashioned send a letter. Postage, will be my best friend until I die.
Okay.
So since my dad, like I said, is a pastor, I was able to connect with a lot of churches that I've fellowshipped at, sang at. I was like, hey, remember me? I was on your program. Would you buy my book?
Yeah.
But again, making that relationship. And then I sent out a mass email, and I tell a lot of authors, when you know that you're going to be releasing a book, do a pre-order. And I did a pre-order letter to over 100 churches that I knew about, and then over 66 churches that I really didn't know about, but I've had relationship with through email or otherwise. I also mailed it out to friends and family. So that pre-order letter was letting people know, hey, I have a book. It'll be available this day. You can come to the book signing, or you can pre-order the book so you don't have to stand in line. People don't want to stand in line. I'm learning that.
Okay. Yeah.
So definitely, if you don't want to just use social media, everybody's not on the internet. Right. So you're going to have to use those postcards, those letters, those phone calls. I have a phone list where I definitely call, and it's not a recording, and I make that, that contact with somebody. And hey, have a book out. Would you like to come? Can I mail it to you? Can I mail you what it's about? I sent out bookmarks just to give a little overview. So definitely look at other options, not just, the electronic aspect.
Now, did you do like any events or anything like that? Did you do a book release or book signing or anything like that? Okay. What was that
I had
like?
2 book signings. I had one at Arnold's Tea over on the north side. Wonderful establishment. I love their tea, and their lunch is amazing. So I had my first book signing at Arnold's Tea. The second book signing I did at a church. And both turnouts were wonderful. When people ask me now, they're like, can I get your book? Do you have one on you? I don't, unfortunately. But fortunately, I sold out of 3 cases of books. So I haven't really...
Nice.
I try to direct people to the
online store,
Online store. Because it's kind of hard carrying around books all the time.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I was blessed.
Yeah, that's one of the beauties of the internet. You can just order things online. I mean, you don't got... Back in the day, you would have to keep that stocked up in like the garage or in the trunk or in the basement and stuff like that. But now, just go to get it online.
And I order it right there with you. Go right to the site, click it, to your house in 2 days.
Exactly. It's a much more seamless and easier process for people that are entrepreneurs and trying to keep it together.
And cost efficient. People don't realize that. As an author, you have to purchase books as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because then, you got to keep it on stock. You're the one paying for it up front, and then once you get the selling, that's where you make your money back.
Yep.
But so moving a little bit further now, one of the things that you also do as a life coach, and one of the things that I want to understand a little bit more is whenever you're working with clients, what is some of the kind of common threads that you see that is either a struggle or a challenge that seems to always keep on coming up that you're always trying to help people overcome? Because one of the things I want to try to do with this show is kind of try to help people overcome their fear, or maybe increase their belief or give them some inspiration and things like that. So maybe some of the things that you've experienced and have seen a lot of people go through that you've helped them through, what are some of those things that maybe you've helped other people get through in that beginning stage?
So I always talk to clients that are, again, dealing with life's lemons, and that's a wide, list of things. Also self-doubt, that's very big right now, where a lot of people would love to start that company, but they don't believe in themselves, or they don't think they can do it. So I help you work with realistic goals and figure out how we can get that company started, how you can get out of your own way. And then another thing that is a big thing, and that has also affected me personally, depression. I deal with a lot of mommies. I deal with a lot of women who have gone through postpartum depression, and a lot of people who are battling depression daily. So I always tell people, don't tell people it's okay. It might not be okay. And it's all right to say that it's not okay, but we can work through those issues. And then, like I said, my personal struggles, when my baby was born, my 5-year-old was born, I did go through postpartum depression because she had to stay at the hospital. And, sometimes when we're in our storm and in our struggle, we're like, why do I have to go through this, God? This isn't fair. And when she came home from the hospital, it seemed like everyone that's in the mommy group that I had, several of them had babies that had to stay in the NICU. Several of them had babies, that were sick. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Sometimes what we're going through is not just for us, but it's to help other people. And then with the depression piece, unfortunately, I had a cousin of mine commit suicide last year and a dear friend of mine commit suicide. And when you look at this here, everything that's going on in the news, the celebrities, but we don't talk about those that are close to home that are struggling.
Right.
It's a very hurt thing when you know that you've been called to do something, that you're supposed to be that author or that business owner, and things aren't going as planned. So for those people that are really struggling with that depression, I work through realistic goals again, prayer, meditation, whatever they might need to push through it. You can't overcome depression. And I believe that whatever you're dealing with, there is a solution. So when they bring their problems, when they bring their things that are, on their heart, it's my job to help you and coach you through those things.
Absolutely. One of the things that I feel like is starting to gain a lot more awareness is mental health.
Yes.
And I feel like especially it's a topic that we should discuss more, especially in the Black community.
Yes.
Because it is a real thing. And a lot of people are dealing with certain situations that we may not necessarily understand, but if we can just have that, be empathetic towards their situation and find out how we can assist and help them along, it'll definitely be for the better. I'm definitely thankful to have a couple friends that work in the mental health field, so I get a chance to pick their brain a little bit more and see how best way I can help, and just understanding that a little bit more, because we only got one life to live, and we want to be able to enjoy it as best as possible, and we want them to be able to experience it as best as possible too. So, just understanding that is definitely important for sure.
And as a coach, I have a coach. I reach out when I feel like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I reach out to my other coach friends, to my friends that are therapists, and I'm like, hey, I'm not okay. I'm having a moment.
Yeah.
It can be a lot. But people have to know, too, that there's a safe place that they can reach out, and they're not going to be judged. And then, like I said, growing up in the church, sometimes I had to tell people everything is not just the devil. Sometimes you're just not okay. Sometimes you are having a hard time, dealing with issues. Bills are crazy, financially. Anybody that is living on this earth right now, I know you guys know,
right?
Everything costs money.
Yeah.
So for some people don't deal with stress well. Whatever the case may be, they just need to know that you're that safe place where they can come and say, hey, I need a little bit of help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. I totally feel that. And then also, whenever you get to the point of, becoming a life coach and doing things like that, how did you also get to the point of being a speaker as well? Because one of the things I know I think it was either this month or last month, you were at Kashira's event.
Yes.
For her seminar, which it looked like it was great. I got a chance to see
Wonderful.
the stuff that happened on social media, so that looked like it was an awesome event and definitely a good time. Looks like a lot of good information was shared, and you were one of the speakers there. What has that experience also been like, being a speaker, and how did you even get to that point? Because I know some people may be watching this right now, they also maybe want to be speakers and things like that. So what has your experience been like, also being a speaker, speaking in front of people? Do you get jittery? Do you still get nervous? How did you maybe develop the things you talk about? What was that process like?
Well, I'm still the person that gets butterflies. I'm never the one that says, oh, I got this. I've never been there.
Right.
I don't know how some people you have that little bit of confidence, I know God got me, I'm going to kill it, whatever. But I'm never where, I'm not there.
Right.
I still get those butterflies.
Right. I feel like they'll always be there. I feel like whenever you do get nervous or butterflies, you know the importance of it and you want to do well. So that's
being human, but I never want to get to the point where I don't feel butterflies at all. That would scare me.
Right.
That would scare me. But I've been singing since I was 2, and people always say I was singing since. No, I've really been singing in church since I was 2.
Right.
I went to Rogers for singing for middle school, and then I went to Kappa for singing. So we were always on stage. We were always at the Biam, at the Benedum, Heinz Field. Then singing with my dad, and I sang with a hip hop group. So I've always been in some form of a stage, or on some form of being out there. Still having the nervousness.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was asked of me, I think the first thing I really spoke up was a church event. And somebody said, "Can you speak?" And I'm like, huh?
About what?
About what?
Right.
Jesus. No. But just getting a little speech together. And I was like, hey, I kind of like this. I like the process of writing already. So we'll get up there and just say what was asked of me. And then from there, God has opened up many other doors with the book. And then not just the book, but people asking me to just tell my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to get delivered. I believe everybody needs a helping hand, and I want people to get delivered. And if it's by me telling my story or, talking to people, why not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then as we get closer to wrapping up, what is maybe some really good advice that you would give to maybe an entrepreneur or somebody that wants to become an entrepreneur? What are some advice that you would give to them if they're maybe struggling in the beginning phases, or maybe they're in the middle, maybe they're behind on deadlines or what have you, or whatever it may be? Or maybe some good pieces of advice that you've learned along the way? What's some good advice that you would either give or have gotten throughout your process as being an entrepreneur?
Well, I would definitely say the show title, for starters.
Right.
People think that if you have a 9 to 5, you can go home from your regular job and then, shut off. Maybe you might not have to do paperwork with your job, your 9 to 5. But if you want to be an entrepreneur and you have a dream or a goal, if you have a book or an idea, one of the things that you have to realize, it is a constant thing. There's always going to be something to do. There's going to be emails. There's going to be papers. So you have to stay focused. You have to set realistic goals. You have to stick to the goals. And I say realistic because sometimes we plan all the way up here.
Right.
Like, I'm going to be a billionaire after starting the...
Right.
Let's baby steps.
You can tell. I can tell you just started.
Baby steps. But I say set realistic goals. That's, the number one thing. Don't get overwhelmed. And if you do get overwhelmed, take a step back, breathe, realize you're human, but definitely know that this process that you want to be in as an entrepreneur is going to take your life. Your life's work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant work. 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no days off.
Right, yeah. there's
no
definitely not. The days where you feel like you want to take a day off, something comes up.
Else.
Either something you think of or something comes up.
And if you're the boss, you're always in charge. The boss has all the responsibilities. Even though I like to delegate, and like I said, my business partner Ashley Taylor and I, within our company, we're able to work with other women who are also entrepreneurs, and we'll be hiring next year.
Okay.
And so that's a big piece where I'm like, okay, I know that even though we're hiring people, you still have in your head, you're the boss, and there's work to do. So it's not for the faint of heart. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, set realistic goals, stick with those goals. Don't be so hard on yourself when they don't, follow through as planned.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons why, and to your point of it, being a lot of work, and it pretty much is your life, that's why I always try to stress it's got to be something that you truly love and are passionate about it. Like, because doing all those different things, the meetings, the connecting with people, the setting up plans and booking meetings and sitting down and purchasing coffee and doing this and that, and then doing the stuff that you actually like and the creating, whether it's the photography or the writing and all that different stuff, you gotta love it, because if you don't, you're gonna burn out quick. So if it's something that you love and you're passionate about it, it doesn't necessarily feel like work. Like all the stuff that I'm doing, like some people say, like, "Dang, you still at it?" It's like, yeah, but exactly, like it doesn't feel like work to me. So being passionate about it and actually believing in it is definitely 100% key, for sure. I mean, because even and also to your point as well, because I work during the day, and I know a lot of people work during the day and they say they want to do this and that, but they feel like they can't do both. But because when they get home, they're tired.
Yeah.
And I just feel like with that perspective, it's not that you're tired; you're uninspired.
I love it.
It's like if you find something that you're excited about and you're inspired about, the second you get out of work, you want to run and go do it. Because that's how I am. I'm like, come on, 5 o'clock. Exactly. Like, I'm ready to go. So, you definitely got to be passionate about it. So those are definitely a lot of good tips.
And I'm not going to tell the company, but the book was actually written while I was working for a company. I would not take my lunch break. And I'm not telling anybody to not take their lunch break. He looked like, what?
He's like, I got to eat.
What? I'm not telling anybody to not eat, but what I would do, I had a drawer at the desk, and I had oatmeal, I had granola bars, I had snacks, I had heatable dinners, like, the oodles and noodles and stuff like that, and then I had stuff in the fridge. but I would not take my lunch break and clock out. I wouldn't clock out and leave my desk. I sat at my desk, and for that hour, I was writing. For that hour, I was brainstorming.
How long was the lunch break?
I got an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
the one job I got an hour, the other job I got a half an hour. But I'm like, that's time that I'm, setting aside for that book because I knew it was a goal, and I gave myself a timeline. So there's ways around it.
Yeah.
You know you're gonna be tired when you get home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And go in early.
Exactly. and that adds up over time. I mean, if you got an hour break and you're doing that, let's say you work 5 days a week, you get that hour. That's 5 hours that you just utilized and you used effectively. So. That's also a key thing that you can do whenever you're on lunch break. I know whenever I'm on lunch break, I'm either DMing somebody.
I was about to say you're probably
I'm messaging people like crazy. It's like, yo, this episode just came out. Did you see it? Did you see it? Did you messaging like 50 people? So I'm doing that and eating at the same time. So
you have to do what you have to do.
Exactly. And then whenever you are done with work, maybe you if you are working a 9 to 5, from at least 5 to maybe 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. you could be working on stuff. That's 6 to 7 hours that you could be utilizing.
There's always a way. And everybody's phone now, there's Siri, you got other things. There's Alexa. You can take notes, whatever you say to your cell phone. There's always a way to do it. You can talk. I told one of the girls, she's like, I don't have time to write a book. I'm always going to put your earpiece in and talk the book into your phone.
There you go.
I said, speak it into your phone, start writing it that way. She's like, what about the typos? We'll worry about the typos later. Write that book. There's always a way.
It's funny because that's how I want to write mine, because I know I'm already limited. I just want to kind of just
plug it in,
talk it out, let it type itself out. I'll worry about all the edits later, but at least I'll have the framework down, and then I'll just fix it as I need to.
I'm not one for excuses. I'm sorry. I'm just
right. There's the only excuses you should have excuses for is excuses.
Period.
So at the end of the day, because there's always a will and there's always
a way.
So and that's why I love having people on the show that have busy schedules and they're still getting it done, because that eliminates the excuse. So if they see somebody in your similar situation, they got kids and they're
5 kids.
5 kids. I didn't realize that.
Yes. Wait a minute, from teenagers down to a 2-year-old. Yeah.
That's it. That's a lot. So, from somebody like that may be watching this right now and understand your story and your background, what you're going through, they may not even be doing, what you're doing to your magnitude. So it eliminates that excuse. So that's why I love doing this show and just connecting with good people. So, so as we get closer to wrapping up, what is some of the things that you see yourself doing in like the next 2 to 5 years? What's some of your big goals and plans?
So definitely the nonprofit company that we've started, and that's just not only reaching those in the United States. We actually reach those in Ghana, Kenya, the Philippines, India, but I want to make sure that we have a space. So that's my goal, to create a space where children are able to come and get that after school help, homework help, build a resume, the interview help, all those key life skills that we weren't always taught in school. Algebra's great, some of those things are great, but I actually want to equip kids with what they're going to use in the real world. How to do taxes, how to balance a checkbook, couponing maybe.
Right, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
But realistic things that they're going to use in real life. So definitely having a space, multi-purpose center, and getting into these communities. We want to be in every area of the city, so we're definitely making moves on that, front. For the business aspect, we want to equip other women who are entrepreneurs through the Boss Lady firm. And our goal, like I said, for 2019 will be to hire those women who might be the stay-at-home mom but love photography, or might be the busy woman on the go but can write a mean resume, or edit a great book. So we want to equip women who are fellow entrepreneurs and ready to start their business but might not want to start it with all the paperwork. So we're going to be like the hub, I guess you would say, to help birth other businesses. And I joked with Ashley and I said, we're like the business doulas. We help people birth their business books or brands.
Right.
Because they have a dream. You bring us your dream and your vision, and we help you get it out there. In the next 2 to 5 years, we have other authors lined up to publish. We have other companies that will be helping to get started. And just being the best people in the community we can be, helping our fellow man and building services that are affordable, reliable, and great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So with all that, where is the best place for people to contact you, whether it's either they maybe want to write a book, maybe it's the life coaching, maybe they want to speak, get events done? What's the best way people can reach you?
You can reach me on Facebook at at Lytia S. Brock, S as in Sam. But I also tell people you can also call my nonprofit number, and that's 412-326-8525. And that's the Cloaked in Favor number. I always answer. It is my number. It's not a recording.
Right.
And then I also have a website, www.lytiabrock.com. That's my first and last name, LYTIABROCK.com.
Awesome.
So go on either three of those and you'll be able to reach me.
All right, well, good stuff. Hopefully some people will reach out. That'll make me feel good. Even
Yes.
if one person does, that'll make me feel
one
good.
is more than none, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then as we wrap up, what is a 24-hour challenge that you would propose to the audience that they can take action on effectively in 24 hours after watching this episode?
So my book is dedicated to self-inventory. I would say if you have a goal, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an aspiring author, if you have that goal, in the next 24 hours, I want you to take self-inventory. Why is it a good goal? Why do people need this business, book, or this goal? And what are you going to do to put it into action? So that's my challenge.
Absolutely. And reach out to Lytia if you do accept that challenge, because we want to see some results come out for y'all too. So that'll be good for sure. So I definitely appreciate you coming on to the show. We definitely got to do another one in the future because, like I said, you got a lot of things happening. I know you're growing and things are moving. So I want to continue to kind of track the progress and everything.
Please.
So I think it'll definitely be awesome. So definitely appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So now that we know what Lytia does with her for 24 hours, we want to know what you do with your 24 hours. Definitely make sure you comment down below if you accept that challenge. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and we will see you on the next episode.